Great. So we're ready to start building our first GPT-3 powered chatbot. Let's start with importing our OpenAI library and import OS. First, we want to set up our OpenAI API key. So I like to store my API keys and my environment keys at my OS level. If you have a different approach, just make sure you follow best practices with your API keys. And now that we have our API key set up, we want to define the Ask GPT function. So we want to define a function that takes a user's prompt in like a question or a string or a query, and we want to send that to OpenAI, and we want to get a response back from OpenAI and see a chat completion response back from OpenAI. And so let's set up that Ask GPT function. Ask GPT-3 a question. Define ask underscore GPT, and the function is going to take a prompt as a parameter, user prompt, and we want to create a response object, OpenAI dot chat completion dot create. And so this is the chat completion create endpoint for OpenAI, and it takes a couple parameters, and so we'll go through what these are. So the first parameter we're passing is the model, and the model we've chosen is GPT 3.5 Turbo. There are a couple models. I'll be linking to what your options are. You could use GPT-4. Some models support function calling and advanced functionality. But for now, we're going to go with GPT 3.5 Turbo. It's a solid model. Second parameter we pass is a dictionary of the conversation history. So that'll be messages equals. First message we want to send in this conversation is the system message. So we create a system role, and we want to give the chatbot in a system message. So basically a guidelines on how to operate. You are a helpful assistant. This is a pretty good generic system message. Let's make sure we set this up right. And we also want to pass the prompt as a parameter. So we create a second character in this chat, the user role. And from the user perspective, we want to send the prompt in. And so we've formatted our question as a chat between an assistant and the user. And we want GPT to take the user's question, we want it to respond with an answer. So we can choose the length of the response. And so we can set that by passing another parameter, max tokens. For this, we could say max tokens equals 50. And that means the response will be within 50 tokens, which is not quite 50 characters, but a pretty, you'll see how long that is. And now that we've got the response, let's return the response. And then we'll create let's just do ask GPT, what color is the sky? Let's print that out. And in order to run this, we run python main.py. Did I mess up somewhere? Let's try that again. Python main.py. Great. And so now we can see we're printing. This is the response object from OpenAI to the question, what color is the sky? So we get a lot of interesting information. The main thing we're interested in is the content. Color of the sky can vary. So this section right here is the assistant's response to the question, what color is the sky? We've got some interesting extra information, how long. Completion is 50 tokens. Response is 50 tokens. The prompt is 23 tokens. Total tokens 73. And so for this model, there's actually a maximum of 16,000 tokens. So you want to make sure that your question and the answer fit under 16,000 tokens. That's great. But for the purpose of a chatbot, we only care about the content. So let's update this. Response.choices 0.message. So now instead of returning the entire response object, we are returning the content from the assistant response. So let's run this again. And now we are only getting the assistant's response. We're no longer getting the entire JSON object. Let's set this up as a loop while, and let's get the user's input. So I've changed it up a little bit. Instead of just asking one fixed question, now we have it set up as a loop. So every time you ask a question, you get the response, and then you can ask another question. And if the user inputs exit, then the loop breaks. So let's try this out. Python main.py. Ask GPT-3 a question. Why is the sky blue? That did not work. Where did I go wrong? Ah, we forgot to print the response. Let's try that again. Let's get a new terminal. Why is the sky blue? And now we've got the response and it's running in a loop. And so we can ask another question. Why is magma hot? Magma is hot because it's made of molten rock. Cool. Yeah. And so this is a basic chatbot, a good foundation for working with the API. We can go into more detail on how to use the additional parameters, but if you just want to figure out how chatbots work, this is like a basic introduction. One of the limitations with this is that it doesn't understand conversation history. So if I were to say, my name is Parth, what is my name? I can ask this, and it's obviously going to know my name because I'm giving it the answer in my question. And so it says, your name is Parth. But if I were to ask now, if I'm going to say, what is my name? It's not going to know my name. It's not going to, this chatbot doesn't actually have conversation history. So let's try that. What is my name? So as you can see, the response, it's not counting on the previous information provided to it. And so every single time you ask this chatbot a question, it's as if you're talking to a completely fresh instance of GPT. In future videos, we're going to talk about how to create conversational back and forth and add more complexity to the way that these assistants can operate. Thank you.